Our next review is of the HBO-produced series Winning Time, Rise of the LA Lakers Dynasty, which debuted in 2022 with Season 1 and this year with Season 2. It's an absolutely brilliant show. However, like other brilliant shows from HBO like Deadwood and Rome, Winning Time has now been canceled after 2 seasons, which is a real shame. That being said, it's a very special and unique series that we can't recommend enough, and you don't have to be a basketball fan to enjoy this series. Lisa, you are not a basketball fan, and she loves it. So that's a great endorsement.
Mm-hmm.
Winning Time is based on the book Showtime, Magic, Kareem, Riley, and the Los Angeles Lakers Dynasty of the 1980s by Jeff Pearlman. The series is a dramatization of the personal and professional lives of the 80s Lakers, with the first season focusing on the years 1979 to 1980, when Dr. Jerry Buss first purchased the team, which was also Magic Johnson's rookie year. The second season takes place between 1980 and 1984. The series revolves around the beginning of the 1980s Showtime era of the Los Angeles Lakers, featuring now NBA legends Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and the beginning of the bitter rivalry between Magic and Boston Celtic Larry Bird. The series features an ensemble cast led by John C. Reilly as owner Dr. Jerry Buss, Jason Clarke as Jerry West, Adrian Brody as Pat Riley, and Quincy Isaiah as Magic Johnson, who absolutely is transformative. He just transforms into Magic. The smile, everything. The guy's amazing. And frankly,
well, I mean, all of them, but also Pat Riley. Like,
yeah, Brody.
If I think about Lakers history and Pat Riley, I don't know if I think about Pat Riley or if I think about Adrian Brody.
Yeah, I know. Now I kind of get them mixed up in my head when I think about them at this point, because the show was so good, and they really just sort of embody the characters so perfectly. The writing in Winning Time is often satirical and tongue-in-cheek humor, but it can also be very sincere, heartfelt, and moving in many ways. I think if you're familiar with movies like North Dallas 40, Major League, Any Given Sunday, Bad News Bears, Slapshot, Bull Durham, and Breaking Away, you will really like this series. Winning Time also pulls elements from 80s movies and TV shows, like characters breaking the fourth wall, musical montages, and even an animated Celtic leprechaun among live action, kind of like Roger Rabbit. Also, if you're looking for a series which really, truly transports you back to the 1980s, this is the best visually I've ever seen. I'd say it's even better than Stranger Things or Air, which are both very good in portraying the 1980s. But Winning Time not only looks the part with the production, the props, wardrobe, and the sets and the cars, but it's also filmed the way movies were made during that era, using vintage cameras and VHS camcorders. And it's filmed really cool. It's filmed in 3 different ways throughout both seasons. For most of the seasons, it's filmed in like a 35 millimeter cinematic widescreen format. Then they cut to a 16 millimeter film format, and then cut to VHS camcorder format. And it's all perfectly edited, so it's not jarring. In fact, they use the camera in different formats as a way to convey different emotions within the scenes and within the characters, from bravado and power to vulnerability and fear. And I just think the look and the texture and the colors that these 3 different formats give you, it just transports you and gives you this fully immersive feel when you're watching it. You really feel like you're back in that time period, which I do when I watch it.
Well, and also, like, I got the feeling in some of when they were using some of the different film, it's like the times when it's like you're seeing something that's never been seen. You're like a fly on the wall. Like, this is not a conversation that anyone was privy to.
Right. Other than 2 people having it.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
For those that don't know, like me, that don't know what millimeters and all that, it's like some of them have like a home movie feel.
Yes. Winning Time is ultimately about masculine, tough, competitive men. They're also good men, certainly flawed men, but they all strive to become better athletes, teammates, coaches, owners, world champions, but more importantly, fathers. I think the overarching theme in Winning Time is about the importance of fathers and father figures and how essential they are in life. And it's not only a series which is very pro-fatherhood, it's also very pro-life. It has a lot of pro-life themes. I think it might be the most pro-fatherhood series next to Cobra Kai right now. I think that makes it very unique.
And Yellowstone.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for sure.
It also touches, I think, on the strong and instrumental women behind all of these strong masculine men. I mean, we saw it in Air, like with Michael Jordan's
his
mother.
mom. Yeah.
And a very similar role with Magic Johnson's mother, and with Jeannie Buss, Jerry Buss's daughter. And the tough masculine men have been hard to come by over the last 20 years or so with mainstream entertainments, especially mainstream commercials.
Yeah.
They are beginning to make a return, and I think it's becoming a trend with the success of series that have masculine characters that are doing really well. So like Terminalist, Reacher, Tulsa King, Yellowstone. And I think it's really easy to bag on Hollywood a lot, but don't forget at the end of the day, they want to get paid. And that's kind of like one of the reasons it's so great to support entertainment that have the themes and the characters, that you like, because it's a way of signaling, it's like the boycott. We want to
Mhm.
see more Yellowstone, more Terminalists, more people fighting bad guys, or
Yep.
men fighting bad guys, and women too.
Mhm.
But I also love the rags to riches story of Jerry Buss. And it's definitely not intended, because there are some digs at Donald Trump. But I mean, you cannot deny that Jerry is not a little bit like Trump in his bravado, certainly in real estate. And he has two sons and one kind of favored daughter. And it's really like similar to a Trump type of guy, tying together the series when it comes to risk and reward, not being afraid to take big risks, going for the brass ring, and just the American dream in general. He comes from a single mom, and the single mom is very much involved in the business, which is just such a great storyline. Sally Field plays his mother.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah. And so in that sense, it's very risky business, which, many years ago when I wrote about the movies that define the generations, I wrote, and I'm sure you probably planted that seed, that risky business is, the Gen X movie.
Mhm.
And so when it comes to Jerry Buss, who risked his entire fortune just to buy the team, and then through hard work and perseverance and a vision that at times he is the only one who can see it,
That's very true.
he turns into not only a world championship team, but the premier professional sports organization ever. There's just a lot of things to like. To me, the thing that makes a series like that kind of seals the deal, like this is a great show, and that's when the outcome, but you're still like on the edge of your seat, like
Mhm.
they won.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But Pat Riley eventually becomes head coach, but you're
Yeah.
still like, "Oh my god, I hope he gets it."
Yeah. Yeah, I knew, I was a Suns fan growing up, so the Lakers were the enemy, but,
Mhm,
at the same time, I knew a little bit about the early Lakers, but I didn't know a whole lot, and when I watched this when it originally came out, I kind of fought myself from going to Google,
mhm,
and sort of spoiling it for myself. So I just let it unfold as each episode came out. And I knew they had won the first year of Magic's rookie year, but I didn't really know much after that. I just knew that growing up in the 80s, the Bird Magic feud was everything. Like
mhm.
that defined NBA basketball and it saved NBA basketball. Those games between the Lakers and the Celtics are just legendary and they're amazing. You want to talk about like real life heroics. It's incredible. It's like it's like a big it's like Clash of the Titans type stuff at this point, especially for new fans looking back. Those really are kind of very much a golden era from the NBA. It's funny. I didn't really think about the Trump parallels between Trump and Buss, but there are definitely a lot of them. A lot. We're not just talking about the comb over.
Yeah.
This is Buses. They came from like the Dust Bowl, Midwest to California, and he built it from nothing. Sally Field's amazing. I think this is probably one of my favorite roles she's ever done.
Mhm.
She's really funny, and like you were talking about, the strong women behind these men. Pat Riley's wife. Obviously Jeannie. Jeannie's an incredible character.
Yeah, there's also a great cameo, if you know anything about Jeannie, the real life Jeannie Buss, and how everything turned out with her. There's a great cameo of the person that plays Kareem's agent.
Right, Jay Moore.
But one thing I think is important about, because we're talking about the importance of father figures and the strong women, and that's that there's always this view that one is at the expense of the other,
Mhm.
and it's like, no, you can have both. I mean, that's like the beauty of the sexes is that they complement each other in different times.
Yeah, and in different ways, and in different situations as
Mhm.
well. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like you don't have to have this what's her face, Captain Marvel, and all the men in the are weak because there's
Right.
a strong woman, so therefore all the men are weak and bad.
Another wonderful thing about Winning Time is that it all happened in the 1980s, so it's not chock full of woke propaganda. Similar to what I said about Nolan wanting to do a Bond film with a period setting of Fleming's novels and how that will yield a non-woke Bond because it's in period and none of that far-left propaganda can be shoehorned into the storyline and stay true to the period and suspend the viewer's disbelief at the same time because that crap simply didn't exist back then. It's similar to Mad Men, and another fantastic series, one of our favorites, which
Mhm.
was a period setting, and because of that, stayed true to that period.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's interesting that if you're in TV or movies or really any artistic medium for that matter, if you want to create something mainstream but woke free, you have to go to the past to tell your story. And just because you do so doesn't mean, all of the women characters are wallflowers. I mean, if you watch Mad Men, anyone can tell you who runs the office.
Oh yeah,
Joni.
oh yeah.
And I mean, Roger agrees, Don agrees. And but there's also the truth, like between Joni and her husband. There's the truth of the times,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I think is so great about the period pieces. It kind of gives you, you know, the best of both worlds. I think it'll be interesting in 20 or 30 years how they retell now.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it will be like my book, The Social Justice Warrior Handbook, or PCU, where it's just making fun of it. Like, can you believe they were like that?
yeah, yeah. I hope it's largely mocked
Hmm.
as much as possible. I hope the comedians in 30 or 40 years have a heyday with
Hmm.
what's going on these days and our descent into the woke mind virus.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, I did recommend Winning Time to Dean Cain last year because he grew up in LA during
Mhm.
that time and went to a lot of Lakers games, especially that first year that Magic Johnson was drafted. And he even went and partied at the Forum Club back in the day. And he said he watched season one and he loved it.
Mhm.
He said the filmmakers really nailed the era and the look and the feel. And he said he actually watched it with his son. Son's older, and they both enjoyed season one. So we'll have to ask him about season two when we have him on.
The other thing, because of my Gen Z, I believe it's Gen Z coworker, and for millennials, is now both seasons are out. So if you're like one of those people, and let us know in the comments if this is like a young person thing and we're just oldsters, that you wait till the whole season is done so you can binge watch it. Or do you prefer the episodic, where you get to watch one a week and then you wait for the next week? Because I thought that
Right.
was very odd.
Yeah, that is weird. See, I like the episodic because I like to anticipate it, look forward to it, sit down and watch it when it's premiering, and then um, I'm left with another 4 or 5 days to think about it and
Yeah.
to ruminate on it and to enjoy it for what it was and all that it is. And then I start anticipating the next episode and looking forward to it. And then, it's the ritual of must see TV in, probably the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s before everything was dropped on you all at once.
Mhm.
You had to be in a particular spot at a particular time to watch your show. So that's kind of, maybe that is the old way of doing it. Now everybody's kind of like, oh, I'll wait till all of them are out, or they drop them all like Netflix does, and then you just sit there and binge them over an entire weekend, which I think is lame.
But I think there's some, like, even when they've dropped them all, I feel like we still watch. Maybe we'll watch two episodes in a row
Yeah,
over a couple days, but definitely not like over a weekend.
right, right. Cobra Kai, they always drop them all at once, and I'll typically, and it's tough sometimes, because a show like that, which is really good, you want to keep going, but I'll typically do one or two, and then I'll wait like a day, maybe a couple days, just again to kind of ruminate on it, think on it,
Hmm.
and just absorb it as a great piece of art and a great
Hmm.
piece of entertainment. So
Yeah, it's great. You don't want like your, what is it, 50% of your time spending on entertainment. It's then on something good is gone after a weekend, and then you gotta look for something else.
yeah, right, right, exactly. Sometimes it's just best to, like, stare off into space and just think about your favorite show.
Yeah.
There's not enough. There's not enough of that these days. Everybody's got their head and their face in their phone. So
Mhm.
try staring off into space and just daydream and think about your favorite TV show.
Mhm.
Also, just a heads up, Winning Time would probably carry an R rating. However, it doesn't have anything in it I hadn't already seen on cable TV by the age of, I don't know, 14 or 15. So there is language, there is sex, there is some
Boobs.
some boobs, some violence. What else? There's a lot of smoking.
Mhm.
Everybody's a chimney on this show. Which is exactly how the 80s was. 70s, 80s, everybody smoked. Everybody was smoking inside. People were smoking everywhere. The smoking section was literally pretty much everywhere outside of restaurants. People drink. There is some mild drug stuff in it, but nothing crazy. So I love how Magic is a total teetotaler. He's just a Coca-Cola man throughout the whole thing.
Well, also, what's important, I think, to realize is, like when we were talking about father figures and the good and the bad, it's not of the one character that everyone knows is a drug addict. It is not glamorizing his life.
Not at all.
Things go pretty south for him.
Yeah, you're talking about Spencer Haywood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think there's nothing wrong with showing, some of the realities of that behavior.
Yeah, I mean, and look at the cost. So I'm not going to
He
spoil it.
lost on.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, he did get his ring, but he didn't get to participate, which is sad. So that's all I'll say. I don't want to spoil it, but for those that know the history behind the Lakers and who know who Spencer Haywood is, you'll know what I'm talking about. The actor who portrays him is fantastic, absolutely fantastic. He's so good.
The show is so good and the actors are so good. It just also makes it more puzzling of how it ended. Not how the show, I guess not how the show ended, but that there's only two seasons.
Yeah, yeah, they definitely had more in the tank. I could see definitely 3 seasons.
Mhm.
I haven't read the book, but now I'm going to because
Mhm.
I'm just curious where the rest of the book goes. But yeah, it's disappointing. Season 1 has 10 episodes. Season 2 has 7. I feel like that it should have been another full 10 episodes, but I don't know if it was the strike. I don't know if it was the budget. I have no idea what the deal was, but they kind of shortchange season 2, and I almost feel like they started off writing it in one way, which possibly could have had 10 episodes, and then somewhere mid-series they switched to, oh shit, we got to wrap up in 3 episodes or something. That's kind of what it felt like. They had to sort of change directions in order to accommodate a 7 episode series rather than a 10. So you're talking about compression.
Mhm.
And the second season does jump around a lot, which is probably my biggest criticism.
Yeah,
But
I mean, I guess you're left wanting more instead of it going out like, Game of Thrones or something.
yeah, it's tough. I mentioned Deadwood, which was a brilliant show, which was cut short after 3 seasons, and then finally got a movie, largely thanks to the fan base. That year after year after year, people kept saying, "When are we going to get Deadwood movie?" And David Milch made it happen. He stuck with it. He's an amazing guy. And it's the same with Rome. It's the same with Rome. That was a fantastic series. It could have continued on. I felt like the ending was definitely sort of rushed in a
Mhm.
sense because that show was very expensive, and I know one of the reasons why they cut it short was because of the costs. Same with Deadwood, really expensive show, but these are amazing pieces of art and entertainment. I mean, all three of these series are sort of the perfect time capsule, or time travel back to that period to tell a really compelling and entertaining story with
Mhm.
compelling characters. And it's just a shame that there wasn't enough audience, frankly, from what I've read, for Winning Time. And
I guess the first season they released during basketball season,
yeah,
right? And then the second one was kind of rushed because it was like nothing was, I mean, not rushed, it seems like in the release, because it seemed like we went from not knowing when to, oh, it's like in 1 month,
yeah,
because there wasn't really any other entertainment in the can because of the strike. And then it kind of like probably, hurt the numbers. So like my hope is, although I think it's unlikely because of the way that it ended, is all you bingers will make the numbers like skyrocket
that
and
would
they'll
be
be like,
nice.
wait, let's bring it, do a third season.
Yeah, there was talk that maybe they would shop it to Netflix or some other Amazon, some other production companies to see if they're interested. You never know. You never know. I would love to see a season 3. You know, that's what happened to Cobra Kai. You know, Cobra Kai started out on YouTube Red. YouTube decided they didn't want to produce it anymore. Sony Pictures is the ones I think is where it's shot. They're the main producers behind it, but YouTube didn't want it anymore, and they were going to do with YouTube Red. So Netflix picked it up, which was genius because it's probably one of the main reasons I keep my Netflix account is I want to see what happens to Cobra Kai. So